Of course. Here's a fully rewritten version of your plot points into a complete article, written in a more dramatic, emotionally driven style while maintaining a clear, logical flow. It's about 6,000 characters long, and very different from the original structure as you requested. General Hospital. Sonny's life hangs by a thread after emergency heart surgery in LA. As the sun dipped low over Port Charles, Sonny Corinthos faced a moment no amount of power or influence could control, the uncertainty of life itself. News of his deteriorating heart condition had spread quietly among the family, but now, the time had come to act. Preparing for a risky trip to Los Angeles for emergency surgery, Sonny made a solemn decision. He would gather his children for one final meeting, a moment heavy with love, fear, and acceptance. In the grand living room of the Corinthos estate, the atmosphere was thick with unspoken emotions as Sonny stood before his children. His voice, usually commanding and firm, was softer now, tinged with vulnerability. "I don't know what's going to happen with this surgery," he confessed, his eyes meeting each of theirs in turn. "No one can guarantee anything. But whatever the outcome, I need you all to accept it, and move forward." There were no promises, no false reassurances. Only the raw honesty of a man staring mortality in the face. Early the next morning, the house was cloaked in a somber silence as Sonny and Carly prepared to leave. Carly, ever the strong one, kept a brave front, though fear gnawed at her heart. Together they boarded a private plane to Los Angeles, where one of the country's most renowned cardiac specialists awaited them. Upon arrival at the sprawling hospital complex, the pace quickened. Admission paperwork was rushed through, and Sonny underwent a grueling battery of preliminary tests. The cardiologist, a grave-looking man with years of experience etched into the lines on his face, delivered the news they had both dreaded. Sonny's condition was critical. Emergency surgery was scheduled for the following morning. There would be no time for second opinions or additional preparation. That night, sleep eluded Carly as she sat by Sonny's bedside. They spoke little, but the silence between them was profound, speaking volumes about shared memories, regrets, and the uncertain future. As dawn broke, Sonny was wheeled toward the operating room. Carly gripped his hand tightly before he disappeared through the double doors. Leaning down, she kissed him, a kiss filled with everything she wanted to say but couldn't. "I love you. Please fight. Come back to me." Inside the sterile confines of the operating room, a team of surgeons and nurses moved with choreographed urgency. The surgery stretched on for hours, each second feeling like an eternity for Carly, who waited anxiously outside. The clock ticked relentlessly as she paced the hallways, until exhaustion and hunger finally forced her to leave briefly for a meal. Meanwhile, in the recovery unit, Sonny was transferred to a private emergency room. A nurse, her face partially hidden beneath a surgical mask, moved swiftly and efficiently around his bedside. She prepared a syringe, injected the medication into the IV bottle attached to Sonny's line, and left the room just as Carly returned from her brief reprieve. Carly's heart dropped the instant she stepped through the doorway. Sonny's body writhed in distress on the hospital bed, and the once steady rhythm of the monitoring machines had erupted into a chorus of shrill alarms. Panic seized her. She lunged for the emergency call button, slamming her hand against it repeatedly as she shouted for help. Within seconds, a fleet of doctors and nurses stormed into the room. Carly was pushed aside gently but firmly as the medical team surrounded Sonny, assessing his failing vitals with grim efficiency. Commands were barked. Medications were ordered. CPR was initiated. The minutes dragged on, each more harrowing than the last. Carly stood frozen outside the circle of controlled chaos, her nails digging into her palms, her breath caught somewhere between a prayer and a scream. They had fought so hard to reach this point. Had Sonny survived the surgery only to be stolen away now by a cruel twist of fate? Without wasting a second, the doctors decided to move Sonny into the intensive care unit, ICU, where he could be monitored and treated with the full arsenal of medical interventions available. His life now hung in a precarious balance, suspended by machines and the frantic hope of the people who loved him. As the doors to the ICU swung shut behind the gurney, Carly found herself alone in the sterile hallway, grappling with a terror she hadn't felt since the dark days when Sonny's life was once threatened by rival mobs and treacherous betrayals. But this enemy was different, an unseen, silent assailant that even Sonny's strength might not be enough to overcome. Hours passed in agonizing stillness. Every time the ICU doors opened, Carly's heart leapt into her throat, only to crash back down when the staff moved past her without stopping. Friends and family began to arrive, their faces mirrors of the same dread Carly felt. They sat together in uncomfortable silence, clinging to the slivers of hope that Sonny, their anchor, would find his way back to them. Inside the ICU, Sonny lay pale and motionless, a fragile figure swallowed by tubes and machines. His heart, battered and bruised by years of wear and stress, fought valiantly against the odds. But the question that loomed largest in every mind was terrifying in its simplicity: could he survive? As the night deepened and the hospital corridors emptied, Carly refused to leave. She sat outside the ICU doors, refusing food, refusing rest, as she silently willed Sonny to hold on. Memories of their tumultuous life together flooded her mind, the battles, the reconciliations, the passion, and the love that had always, somehow, endured. If Sonny could hear her, if any part of him still lingered in that fragile shell of a body, she hoped he would remember too. Remember what he had to fight for. Remember who he was. For now, there were no guarantees. Only a desperate, undying hope that the man who had defied death so many times before would do it once more. And as the first light of dawn crept over Los Angeles, Carly whispered into the cold, sterile air, "Come back to us, Sonny. Please. Would you also like me to create an even longer version, closer to 10,000 plus characters, with deeper inner thoughts and more emotional flashbacks from Carly and Sonny's past while she waits?" I can if you want. Glowing star.